This vaccine is deliverable inside in Amazon one forest resource by Dr. Like so the link to the video will be description below. Go and check them out. So listen to this vaccine 3, 2, 1.
The radio went quiet for 8 seconds. Not the soft quiet of bad reception. The heavy kind. The kind where the field coordinator in Manaus stopped mid-sentence and the generator hum suddenly sounded too loud in the background. Dr. Mateo Alvarez, the coordinator, said carefully when the signal steadied. Repeat your last transmission. Mateo adjusted the headset against the humidity that never left his skin. Outside the research station, the Amazon rainforest breathed in layers. Insects, frogs, distant howler monkeys calling across the canopy like echoes of something ancient. He repeated it. I am approximately 34 weeks pregnant, and I believe I am in early labor. Silence again. Mateo looked down at his own hands, steady despite the
24 weeks pregnant. Oh, congrats.
Tremor in the air. He was alone in the Tapajos Field Research Station, 3 days by boat from the nearest river settlement, conducting a solo biodiversity study on amphibian decline. He had been logging symptoms for weeks: swelling, exhaustion, abdominal tightening. Assuming malaria, parasite infection, heat stress. The jungle could do all of that to a body. But the ultrasound unit he kept for wildlife imaging had shown him something else entirely. A heartbeat. Not a frog's. Not a monkey's. Human. Strong. Steady. Completely indifferent to logistics. Copy that, the coordinator finally said. Stand by. Mateo stood by. Dr. Mateo Alvarez had come to the Amazon to study collapse. At 38, he was one of Brazil's leading wildlife biologists, trained at the University of Sao Paulo and later collaborating with conservation teams linked to the World Wildlife Fund. His research focused on how climate change altered amphibian breeding patterns. The Tapajos station was a narrow wooden structure raised on stilts above damp earth, solar panels on the roof, a satellite dish angled toward a slice of sky visible through trees. He had been there 6 months. He had also, as he discovered at week 28 of field isolation, been pregnant. The irony would have amused him under different circumstances. He specialized in reproduction cycles. He tracked spawning seasons with obsessive accuracy. He could predict egg-laying patterns of poison dart frogs by the humidity shift in the air. Yet he had missed his own. The symptoms had been textbook jungle illness. Nausea, weight fluctuation, heat intolerance. Even the abdominal movements he'd attributed to gastrointestinal parasites, a common field hazard. Until the kicks became rhythmic. Until the ultrasound confirmed what instinct had begun whispering. Mateo had an intersex variation diagnosed only after the discovery. Like Yusuf Adeyemi had once discovered in orbit, Mateo learned his own biology held structures that had gone undetected for decades.
Really?
Functional ovarian tissue. Dormant. Quiet. Until it wasn't. Conception had happened 6 weeks before departure, during a brief visit from Rafael Mendez, documentary filmmaker, occasional field assistant, constant presence in Mateo's life for 3 complicated years. It had been an ordinary week. River walks, shared hammocks, the kind of closeness that grows between people who know separation is always waiting. Neither of them had known what had begun. The satellite connection crackled when Rafael answered from Rio de Janeiro. Mateo did not ease into it. He explained everything in clinical order. Symptoms, ultrasound, estimated gestational age, imminent labor. Rafael did not interrupt. When Mateo finished, the jungle pressed in around the station, thick and damp and alive. Finally, Rafael asked, "Are you alone?" "Yes." A pause. Then, "Are you afraid?" Mateo considered the question. He listened to the cicadas, to his own pulse. "Yes." Rafael exhaled slowly. "Okay, then we solve it. I'm contacting the Instituto Chico Mendez and the Military Air Rescue. Stay calm. Keep the sat phone on." Then, softer, "We made something, didn't we?" Mateo swallowed. "Yes. We just didn't know. Evacuation would take at least 48 hours. The nearest clearing large enough for helicopter landing was flooded from recent rains. River levels were unpredictable. Storm systems were moving in from the west. Labor, however, was not negotiating. By the second night, contractions were regular. Mateo had converted the specimen lab into a sterile zone as best he could. Boiled instruments, clean surfaces, set up 4 fluids meant for emergency dehydration. He had assisted in wildlife births before, monitored jaguars on camera traps, delivered orphan Capuchin monkeys to rehabilitation teams. None
Monkeys.
of that training included himself. Manaus Medical Control remained on satellite audio. A comm obstetrician named Dr. Helena Duarte guided him through breathing, positioning, assessment. "You are strong," Helena said. "You are not the first human to give birth far from hospital walls. The body knows." The rainforest agreed. It did not panic. It did not rush. It simply continued. Rain beginning again, leaves shifting, life proceeding. It began fully at 2:17 local time. Rain hammered the tin roof. Thunder rolled so deep it seemed to rise from the soil itself. Mateo worked through contraction waves gripping the metal frame of a field cot. Sweat and rain humidity blurred together. He followed Helena's voice through static. Push when your body tells you. There is a moment in birth where fear breaks open into something else. Not
Yes.
calm, not exactly strength. Something older. At 4:02, beneath a single solar lantern and the
Oh.
steady pulse of satellite connection, a child entered the world. The cry was sharp and immediate, cutting through jungle noise like a declaration. Mateo laughed through tears he hadn't realized were falling. "It's a girl," Helena confirmed over audio. Mateo held her against his chest, skin to skin, listening to the rainforest surround them both. Frogs resumed their chorus as if on cue. Rain softened. 3 days later, evacuation finally arrived. A helicopter cut through the canopy soundscape, lowering into a narrow clearing that conservation teams had hacked open overnight. Raphael was inside. He ran the last stretch through mud without caring about protocol. When he saw Mateo sitting upright, wrapped in a thermal blanket, baby against his chest, he stopped for half a second, stunned by the sight of something both impossible and entirely real. "You did it," Raphael whispered. Mateo looked down at the tiny face blinking against filtered jungle light. "No," he said softly. "We did." Recovery took place in Manaus General Hospital. Both were stable, strong, slightly underweight, but healthy. News of the birth traveled quietly through conservation networks first, then
Wow.
wider. "Baby born in remote Amazon station." Headlines simplified what had felt enormous and intimate and terrifying. They named her Selva. She is 2 now.
So
She toddles barefoot across wooden floors in their home outside Bolem. She watches insects with unnerving concentration. She laughs loudly and without hesitation. There is a photograph framed on Mateo's desk, not of the helicopter, not of the hospital. It is of the rainforest canopy taken the morning after her birth. Mist rising, sun breaking through layers of green. One day he will show her that picture. He will tell her that before she had language, before she had memory, before rescue teams cut through sky to reach her, she entered the world surrounded by the oldest living system on Earth. He will tell her she began not in chaos, but in continuity.
wow.
Rain falling, frogs singing, trees standing. Some people search for extraordinary moments in distant places. Selva arrived as one, and the forest, indifferent and eternal, simply made room.
Wow. So what you live inside in Amazon rainforest resource protectors. The link to the video will be the description below. Go and check them out and drop a like if you like and comment below if you want to see more reaction like this one. And subscribe if you want to and click the post so you can be notified from the blog and when the post and go live in what but wow. One forest. Amazon rainforest.